Alright, so today I'm back with yet another video, and I know that this video might seem strange at first, as I've already done a video on the full Fc Barcha versus Bastard Munchen match. However, at that time I had a habit of skipping over a lot of important details in order to make the video shorter and more enjoyable to watch, as I thought that it was what worked well on YouTube. However, I have seen that you guys seem to really enjoy my longer videos, and since I skipped over a lot in the Fc Barcha match, I thought that I would redo it and actually do it properly this time. So I'm sorry that this isn't anything new. However, I promise you that this video will be better than the last one. This will also help me when I make the full Neo-Egoist League arc explained video when the arc is over, so I see it as a win-win. Hope you're not too disappointed. Before we get into the video, please double check that you are subscribed to the channel, as there's 83% of people that watches my video who aren't subscribed yet. So if you could fix that by going down and subscribing to the channel, that would be awesome. And while you're already down there, you can always leave a like and a comment. And with that out of the way, let's finally get into it. Alright, so the big match is finally here. It's the first match of the Neo-Egoist League, and Bastard Munchen starts to walk onto the pitch. We see the formation, and see that the only blue lock player that was able to qualify for the starting lineup was the dark horse Kunigami. However, even then, Isagi knows that thanks to Noah's pep talk that he got before the match, he now has a new sense of values, and that even this time spent on the bench can't be put to waste. Not long after, the speaker announces that FC Barcelona is coming onto the pitch, and there we see Bachira, who's a starting player. Bachira comes into the pitch and says that the new Bachira debuts. Isagi is shocked at this, and is amazed that Bachira was able to be a starting player. However, it isn't only Bachira, as Otoya has also managed to squeeze into the squad, which shocks all of the blue lock players that the two of them were able to win against the regulars in just these 10 days. After that, we hear Isagi saying that Bachira, it may be just you on that stage now, but Isagi will definitely get there himself. And just then, the Neo-Egoist League first match starts, and we see a fired up Isagi on the bench. Bachira and Otoya spots Isagi on the bench, and Bachira tells him that he is going ahead. Isagi on the bench thinks that after 10 days of training his numbers weren't enough to be selected as one of the top 11 regulars. He wasn't able to beat Kaiser, and out of everyone in blue lock, the only one who was selected was Kunigami. Isagi is a bit pissed off at this, as he says that he wants to stand on the pitch and fight alongside them, and that every minute and every second, as frustrating as it is on the bench, I won't let this time go to waste, he says, friend or foe. He needs to burn all of their plays into his mind and search out every opening and weakness that he can find. The speak says that the rules are first to 3 goals, infinite substitutions, where you can sub anyone in and out indefinitely, as well as the star system in which the master striker is allowed to play for just 3 minutes. In addition, the master also serves as the team coach, and with that they get started. Kaiser passes his loyal guard dog Ness, who glances around the field before seeing Grim running on the side, so he passes the ball in between 2 FC Barcelona players. Isagi is a bit shocked by this, and says that he did a sudden super clean vertical pass with backspin, passing between the defenders while heading left, calling it a pinpoint pass that doesn't kill his target's speed. Grim gets the ball, and says that as the leader of the charge, his role is one destined for death, which sounds a bit weird but sure. However, that aside, he's actually going pretty crazy on the pitch, and gets behind 2 FC Barcelona players, which again shocks Isagi, who analyzes Grim and says that while hugging the sidelines, he uses his brute power and physicality to force open the shortest distance possible, calling him a tank-type dribbler. Grim says that he's just the first stage of a rocket, burning to completion and falling off at launch, but that too is life. He is definitely a weird one. But then he passes across into the box, but since they're outnumbered in front of the goalpost, Grim passes over the crowd towards the far side of the field to none other than Eric Gesner, who calls Grim's pass a messy one, saying that he was the only one who could have reached it in time and calls him an octopus. Isagi is amazed at Eric's trapping ability, saying that contrary to his appearance, he's a delicate ball controller, and from there he cuts his way into the crowd, and with a series of fine touches, he threads the needle with his delicate dribbling. Eric takes a glance into the box, sees Kunigami, and asks him to show them what he's got. Eric passed a perfectly timed lob pass to Kunigami, who's already in the middle of 2 defenders. However, to help him, Kaiser is sprinting by his right side, being basically open. However, instead of passing the ball, Kunigami traps it with his chest and forcibly keeps the ball. Isagi says that up until now, this super egoistic play would have been unthinkable for Kunigami. Kunigami does everything to keep the ball, and also goes into a shooting position. However, this catches Isagi off guard, as instead of using his trademark left leg, it's a mid-range power shot with his right leg. This shot is honestly incredible. However, somehow the goalkeeper manages to save it just in time. Isagi is shocked and says that Kunigami is evolving, saying that he's drastically boosted all his physical abilities and can now score a goal from anywhere on the pitch by himself, which makes him into a perfect striker without any weaknesses. Finally realizing that this is the survivor of the wild card, the new Kunigami Rensuke. The ball falls into the hands of FC Barcelona, who decides to go for a counter right away. As Kunigami runs back, Ness stops him. Ness asks him what Kunigami were trying to do just now, saying that if he had passed to Kaiser in front of the goal, he'd have scored, saying that he definitely saw Kaiser, and that Kunigami's irrational showboat plays with little hope of scoring have no place in their team. However, Kunigami talks back and asks if it looks like he cares, and calls Ness a bootlicker, saying that he follows his own way of dominance and to go back another tree. This makes Ness freeze before he grabs Kunigami's shoulder and says that he can't have that, and while smiling says that it's a violation of loyalty to Kaiser and calls it Kunigami's first yellow card. However, while they are fighting like a newly married couple, the ball falls over to Bachira, who says that it's his showtime. His eyes and body start to burn with some sort of aura as Isagi asks Bachira to show him his new evolution. Bachira says that it's time to raise the BPM and wonders what kind of football he should dance. However, before we can see what happens, we get into a flashback to 10 days earlier, where we see the Blue Lock players meeting the actual Barcha U20 members as well. The master Lavinho, they get a pair of earphones which makes them able to understand each other, even though they are talking different languages. Otoya asks Lavinho if this is for real, and if he is going to teach them football. Lavinho says that you could say that he is their master, however he isn't going to teach anyone football, which shocks everyone. Lavinho laughs and says that this place was made to create the best striker in the world, but he says that he is the best, and because of that he isn't giving out any hints. However, Bachira questions him and asks if the current best striker isn't Noel Noa. Lavinho gets angry and asks if he is trying to pick a fight. Bachira just explains that it's what he heard on the TV. Lavinho gets uncomfortably close up to Bachira's face and says that he doesn't care what anyone says and that the best is him because he has the best right here inside of him, pointing to his brain. Bachira is confused, but Lavinho explains that it isn't something that anyone else can see and that the image exists within him alone, saying that if you want to become the best in the world, you can't just do as you're told. He starts playing with the football and explains further that back in Brazil, they have a word called ginga. The meaning would be close to shaky or swaying. It comes from capoeira, which is a mix between dancing and martial arts. He says that all of the Brazilian stars that he liked had their roots in this kind of rhythm, telling them all that you can start out by copying strong dudes, and that's even what he did. But after that, you have to mix them up and create your own image of the best in the world, explaining that the Blue Lock player's original style starts here. Lavinho himself uses the image of a butterfly, and when the field is his stage, all he can do is dance as the best in the world would. Football is all about improvising at the moment, and about stealing the rhythm to one that pleases you. Bachira has gotten all excited by Lavinho's explanation, and he jumps in and takes the ball from Lavinho, which also gets Lavinho hyped up. He says that he can't tell you how to become the best in the world, and that the only one who can express their image in this world is themselves and no one else. After that, Bachira decides that he should start by copying Lavinho's movements and then mix that up with his image of the world's best. And after that, the training begins with Bachira wanting to gain the body and imagination that he needs. After that, as Bachira and Lavinho are walking with each other, Bachira tells Lavinho that he also has this thing he sees, which he calls a monster. Lavinho is impressed and says that he's got some neat roots there. But Bachira explains that he got stronger by overcoming that monster, and in order to get even better, he wonders what kind of image he should come up with. Lavinho asks if his monster vanished, but Bachira explains that he can bring it out if he wants to. After that, Lavinho smiles and says that it's easy enough then, and that what Bachira needs to do is evolve that monster to the next level, saying that his monster is the guide to his originality, which will lead him to reach the spot of the world's best. After that, we get back in the game, and we see Bachira absolutely destroy one of the Bastard Munchen players with his flawless dribbling. While everyone else is hyped up for Bachira, Isagi notices something unusual as he says that Bachira's dribbling posture has changed, saying that it feels like he's spending less energy before saying that it isn't it, but that his center of gravity is more stable than before, looking at his feet and saying that he's moving the ball around with his foot practically glued to it. But his ball touch does very little movement to his actual center of gravity. Not only that, but his upper body doesn't move forward, but his feet don't let go of the ball, which makes his next movement extremely difficult to predict. And even though it seems like he has infinite options, he's not moving forward at all. But that's all according to plan, as he's fusion Lavinho's Ginga with his monster's tricks to draw the opponent in his image field, to then force them to make the first move, which works perfectly, as we see here as he gets behind the defender with his brand new dribbling style, his Ginga X monster style, and we also see a small panel where Lavinho tells him to dance. We also see Isagi, who's blown away by all of this, as he says that Bachira just keeps going past his expectations. However, right now, Bachira has gotten a new foe to beat. It's Kunigami who's come to block him, but Bachira is up for the challenge as he tells them to go and calls Kunigami the wild hero. Bachira says that he doesn't know what comeback match he's won, but that it's good to see him again. Kunigami just straight up ignores it and says that if Bachira is looking for a dance partner, then he will take the lead, and then the matchup begins. Bachira tries to hit Kunigami with a sidestep, but Kunigami is able to follow that. Bachira sees this and says that he's got great torso reflexes, and because of that, he pulls out his wide area double touch. After that, he wants to bait Kunigami to right away increase the tempo again to leave him behind, calling it his double gear, double touch. Kunigami is annoyed, but Bachira says that muscles alone are not enough to be his dance partner. But right after Kunigami, both Eric and Grim come and try to stop him. Bachira complements their cover, but still manages to get away by doing a back heel pass to Ignacio, who then right away passes it off to the ninja himself on the other side. However, the ball doesn't stay with him for long either, as he right away passes it back to the superstar to finish it off, which he does flawlessly, as he shoots a wonder shot right into the goal and calls it the B shot, which I found quite funny. However, FC Barcelona scored their first goal of the match, not to mention that they left Isagi speechless as he witnessed the free and amusing football of Spain. Otoya and Ignacio go to celebrate right away with Bachira, which is quite sweet. I could say what Igarashi has to say, but do we honestly care about his opinion? So let's move on to Isagi instead, who says that Bachira's dribbling is clearly different from before, and to put it simply, he's just doing whatever he wants and keeps attacking like a child. But also, as he's waiting for his opponent, he learned to make a more adult-like choice in a way, not to mention that his dribbling range has tremendously increased, which is all possible thanks to FC Barcelona's carefree environment, which allows Bachira's intuition to bloom, and then it clicks as he realizes that this is what Ego was talking about when he said that for better or worse, the environment they choose will surely derail their lives. But if that's the case, Isagi wonders what he's supposed to learn in his chosen environment, saying that this team's style is rationality, and judging from the series of plays earlier, they basically cut off every unnecessary move and get in front of the goal by using the shortest possible distance, not to mention their rule to let Kaiser score all of the goals. Isagi starts to wonder if he was playing in this match, what the right move for him would be. Should he stick to the role of connecting with Kaiser according to their rule? That wouldn't work, as he doesn't have any individual skills unlike Grim and Eric. But if he ignores their rule and plays for the sake of his own goal, he might end up getting ignored like Kunigami. But right then, he overhears someone saying that Kunigami will probably get substituted at this rate. Hiyori agrees, and says that it's making noise about this team's rationality. Igarashi then says that he better get ready to get out there instead of Kunigami, which made absolutely no one laugh. After that, we move over to Isagi, who says that he still doesn't have a clear image of what he can do yet, and if they put him in now, he can't do anything. He admits that he didn't expect this to work like this, as up until now, he's only been able to fight this far because of Blue Lock's so-called ego-exposing method. But this time, it isn't just Kaiser, but the fact that he needs to prove that he can exist in Bastard Munchen's system. Saying that it's already hard to get in with just your numbers, but proving your existence is incomparably more difficult. And now that he has to do it all alone, he has to think of how he can change his own style to fit in as a striker. But he knows something, which is that Kunigami's existence is for sure a hint for Isagi to get a spot in the regulars, saying that he will keep observing carefully and find the best pieces to beat Kaiser. With that, the match starts, and Ness passes the ball to Kaiser and asks what they are going to do now. Kaiser's eyes turn black as he just says execution. Kaiser passes the ball back to Ness before he absolutely obliterates one of the FC Barcha players. However, it's not only Kaiser who makes the FC Barcha players look like small fry as someone tries to take the ball from Ness, but he flawlessly evades and gets behind the player. Isagi is watching them close and compliments Ness's flexible ankles. He also sees that Kaiser moves up to the perfect position to create a pass course, and at the same time, Ness stays at the perfect distance to pass at any time. And with his ankle technique, he can easily switch directions past an opponent, which we see right here as he gets behind Otoya. Isagi explains it like he casts a spell on the field with his flexible ankles and says that this is Bastard Munchen's beating heart, Ness the magician. Yoichi on the bench is annoyed and says that if only he had an impressive midfielder behind him, then he would score 1,000,000 goals as well, saying that Kaiser is just blessed by this system. Isagi stays quiet and somewhat agrees that this team moves by rational plays, and perhaps the one player they're most centered just so happens to be Kaiser. However, ever since this match started, Kaiser's movements haven't had a single wasted second, moving as bait, positioning to receive the ball, breaking out for a shooting course, his distance to teammates. It's probably because Isagi also has a playstyle aiming for efficiency like that which makes him able to tell things like this, but the way he moves is almost like his embodying exactly Isagi's ideal movements. Anyway, Ness has gotten far up on the field now, and just then, both Grim and Eric start to move, which exponentially increases Ness's options. Because of that, the defense can't even imagine what could possibly come next. And then it happens. Ness shoots his cross. However, it isn't to Eric or Grim, but instead to Kaiser, who's been hiding stealthily in the infinite options within the most efficient spot, which makes him free as the ball goes to him, which is what I would normally say. However, this time he isn't exactly free as Bachira appears behind him. Kaiser takes his hand and places it on Bachira's chest to try and keep him away as good as possible. While watching that, Isagi was amazed by his quick judgment, admitting that he was keeping a good position to receive the ball with handling and a fake out, and he avoided a direct shot to get rid of the last defender, calling everything that Kaiser did perfectly. Isagi thinks that after trapping the ball as soon as it lands, he'll, before he can actually finish his sentence, Kaiser have already made his move as he shoots the ball at an insane speed, and Isagi says that he couldn't even see Kaiser's shooting motion, which is just crazy. Anyway, the shot from Kaiser goes into the goal perfectly, and the goalkeeper is unable to even move. Just that fast was Kaiser's kick, and with that, Kaiser made the scores even as he made the first goal for Bastard Munchen and pulled out an amazing goal celebration saying executed. Everyone from Blue Lock is stunned and just calls him a monster. Isagi even says that Kaiser was able to surpass his ideal form. He puts his hand on his head and Hiyori asks if he's okay. We see that Isagi's pieces are flying around him like crazy as he says that Kaiser is a genius and that unlike Bachira, Nagi, or even Rin on the field, he's a genius of extended plays. While Isagi is in his thought, Noah says that Kaiser calls it his Kaiser impact and says that his right foot kick uses all of his body at once to execute, calling him the fastest in the world when it comes to swing, and even admits that it's the one thing in which he beats Noah himself. This makes Isagi think that maybe he's been wrong about everything. The foundation of Bastard Munchen's hyper-rationality is not the players around him, but instead, Kaiser's ability itself is the philosophy of the team. Thinking that if all the goals are scored with Kaiser impact, an absolute rationality without any inefficiency would be created in the team. A perfect, unparalleled method of turning 0 into 1. He thinks back to ego and says that he mentioned it before, that an original striker with an overwhelming 0-2-1 is here in Blue Lock. This makes Isagi wonder if Kaiser's the embodiment of Blue Lock's ideals of having the world's best qualities. After that, Kaiser walks past Bachira, and Bachira says that it's as expected. The world is full of nasty egos, even complimenting Kaiser before saying that he will crush him. After that, out of nowhere, Lavinho gets up and says that his blood's boiling and that there's some pretty great entertainment being made here, admitting that he wasn't planning to come out, but that he will use his 3 minutes now as he takes off his jacket. The Blue Lock players are once again amazed by this, and Bachira just smiles as Lavinho says that it's time for him to take the spotlight. But then we see Noah, who says that Lavinho's immaturity hasn't changed one bit, saying that if the balance collapses, what is there then to teach? Noah takes off his jacket as well and asks why he's got to be such a pain. As Noah counters, by also going into the match, Lavinho goes forward and says that the last time they faced each other was in the Champions League finals. However, Noah corrects him and says that it was the semi-finals, saying that Lavinho lost to him that year and says that tampering with the failures of the past is what small fry do. But Lavinho just calls him a cyborg data guy, and with him and his boring rational football, his heart goes out to his students. However, Noah comes in with a crazy counter as he says that Lavinho's team is filled with children without a proper adult, which makes him a bit annoyed as he says that the babies are going to kill him. However, they quickly leave each other, and Noah goes to Kunigami and says that he would like to hear his theory. Explain that he's sure that Kunigami understands, but to fight on this team, one of the options would be to participate in the attack centralized with Kaiser, and to show that your abilities surpass Kaiser. Even so, Kunigami managed to fail at both of them and asked him to refute that. But instead of refuting that Kunigami says that he can't, after that, Noah turns around to Kunigami as well as the bench and says that the opposite of a chance is a pinch. If you miss the chance that's in front of them, they will fall into a pinch, which is equal to a missed opportunity, explaining that the risk and return are equal, and asking them to understand that principle of this unwavering world. He turns only to Kunigami and says that he's failed to grab the chance and that he will have to pay the prize, which means that they are switching players, and the one to go in for Kunigami is none other than the GOAT Isagi yoichi, which even shocks him. This makes Yukimiya pipe up as he asks for an explanation for this, saying that when it comes to the training numbers, he's better than Isagi. Even so, Noa explains that it's nothing more than fan service and that the world wants to see Isagi yoichi. He starts to walk off, saying that it's in the contract and to get in here quickly, Blue Lock's hero, which is just such a cool nickname. This understandably angers a few of the players, but Isagi thinks that this is his chance game, which came incredibly fast. He will finally get to play with Noel Noa, as well as dive deep into the battlefield of the superstars with his neo-egoist league debut match. Bachira sees this and is happy to see his best friend on the pitch as he welcomes him in, and Kaiser also acknowledges him. The scores are 1-1, and Isagi says that he won't miss this chance as it's his time to prove his existence. Before the kickoff starts, Isagi thinks that he's finally able to play soccer side by side with the one he's admired ever since he was a child, and that it's a dream come true. Lavinho starts with the ball and goes towards Noa. He tells Noa to bring it on and that he will never be able to take away his freedom. Noa asks what he means by freedom and says that he surely must mean waste, and then their matchup starts. They are going head to head with each other, and Lavinho isn't able to get past him. Isagi, looking from the side, says that he can't keep up with them, saying that Lavinho is doing a series of unpredictable moves, and right behind him is Noel Noa, who mechanically keeps up with him, calling it a one-on-one of gods from different worlds. Isagi looks at the space that they are fighting in and wonders how he's supposed to get in. He says that he has to do something, so he rushes in to create a 2-on-1 situation. Lavinho sees this and says that weaklings are just noise as he takes the ball and makes a rainbow flick above Isagi. Basically, he used Isagi as a wall to get past Noa. Raichi and Igarashi are screaming at Isagi, but it's not like they would have done anything better. Isagi is starting to fall, but Noa catches him. He right away apologizes, but Noa just asks if Isagi knows why Lavinho is called the Dance Man. Isagi says that he doesn't. Noa explains that he's the best in the world at taking his opponents by surprise. However, those magnificent steps are not the origin of that name, as players who are led by his dribbles seem like they're dancing as they topple down, and it basically means a dance of defeat, which is so insanely cool. Anyway, Lavinho has managed to break through Bastard's whole defense, and he also manages to dribble away the goalkeeper, to then stand right by the goal line with the ball and say that he's the one who brings death, and calls himself the free butterfly as he backheel kicks the ball lightly into the goal and tells them to dance till they die, and calls them cripples for some reason. And with that, he got FC Barcelona in the lead, as the scores are now 2-1, and we see Bachira looking at him with big eyes as he calls him a god. Isagi thinks that there really was no room for him in this battle of superstars, but he suddenly starts to feel a hand on his head. It's Kaiser who comes by and says that he screwed up big time there, and says that he's far from their level to cut in between those two. Isagi quickly pushes away Kaiser's hand and says that he couldn't get in either, but Kaiser explains that it wasn't that he couldn't get in, but that he didn't. He says that him and Bachira were simply waiting for a chance where either of them seemed off rhythm, and that any other timing and we'd just be a nuisance, dragging the two of them down. He starts to walk away while asking how Isagi could be so lowly as to not understand such a thing, saying that Isagi is just an overly self-conscious clown after all. Isagi is pissed off after this, as he says that he can't get into the game. However, he can't just give up and tell himself that there's a gap in ability between him and the masters. Such a way of thinking will lead to nothing. He knows that he made a mistake as soon as he entered the match, and just simply admiring them won't change anything. Noa puts the ball down on the ground and says that Bastard Munchen puts victory above all else, and that you must be devoured in his image. This makes Isagi's head spin, and he thinks that to leave traces of his existence, he has to turn admiration into a goal, saying that he can't simply be devoured, but that he instead will devour the superstars. And just like that, the match starts again. Isagi thinks that within the Bastard Munchen team, the way to devour Noa and steal a goal would be to find a better position than him to be in, and wait for a pass in there. However, just then he sees Noa start to sprint like crazy beside him. Isagi is a bit taken back as he says that Noa was able to reach his top speed in an instant. Noa gets behind two FC Barcha players including Otoya, and Ness sees this, so he sends away a pass which Noa traps flawlessly while holding off another player. Isagi thinks that Noa's plays are only possible thanks to Noa's absolute physical ability and skill, and after grasping the state of the field in a second, he moves forward efficiently with speed and power, calling it Noah's machine dribble. Even though Isagi is amazed at Noah's abilities, he's also frustrated because it takes everything from Isagi just to grasp his plays. And then he finally understands that to read a step forward and find a better position than Noah is completely impossible for the current Isagi. But then Isagi understands something crucial as he says that it's obvious that he can't even dream of devouring him, as the way he plays embodies what he sees as perfection, and he is unable to imagine a player better than what Noah can do. Anyway, now we leave Isagi for a bit, as Lavinho has gathered 2 defenders as well as him to stop Noah. However, firstly, Lavinho wants to try and take him down himself as he goes in for a tackle that misses. While watching this from the side, Isagi says that this isn't enough to stop Noah, and that he knows because he's idolized him for so long, Noah just keeps on destroying the FC Barcelona players. As Isagi says, Noah's greatest weapon isn't having a perfect body or a perfect brain, it's the fact that he doesn't lose power no matter which leg he uses, which makes it so his shots can be all powerful. And we see this now as Lavinho and Noah clash, but Noah jumps up and gets on top of Lavinho. While keeping Lavinho down, he uses his left leg and his God-given disposition of being ambidextrous to shoot an outstanding shot right into the goal, which makes the scores even again. Isagi is looking at him with big eyes and says that thanks to his legs, he can aim for a goal from any angle, and explains that this is the genius that he's admired, the best striker in the world, Noel Noa. Everyone is hyped up to the max after Noah's goal, and Isagi thinks that a person completely ambidextrous is said to be extremely rare and happens to less than 1% of humans, explaining that he can do anything with either leg that normally would only be possible with their dominant one, which is Noah's incomparable God-given blessing. However, just then, the speaker announces that the star system is up, as it's been 3 minutes. Lavinho and Noah tease each other a bit, before Noah goes to the bench and tells Kunigami to get up, and that he is subbing in for Noah. He looks at Kunigami, and asks if he thinks he can trace his movements after seeing it live, calling him the wildcards copy man, which shocks Isagi. After that, Noah tells both Kunigami and Isagi that this one goal is the last chance they're both getting, and tells them that they can be replaced at any time, looking at them with an intense look, and tells them that if they want to survive, they will have to prove their self with numbers. Kunigami, with a dead look, tells Isagi not to drag him down, and Isagi tells Kunigami not to do the same thing, as both of them think that they will be the one who scores the last goal. As they enter the pitch, Isagi asks Kunigami to wait up. He asks him what Noah meant when he called him a copy man. Kunigami asks what it matters to Isagi, and Isagi tells him that he wants to know so that he can beat him, and he asks what truly happened in the wild card. Kunigami is quiet for a bit before explaining that the wild card was an experiment to create a vessel, someone with the same physique as Noel Noa, saying that it was a survival game where only one person remained, one person who managed to get physical abilities similar to Noah. Isagi is in shock and asks how it was able to work. But at this time, Kunigami has had enough, as he says that it doesn't matter and that it's not like anyone is going to pass to Isagi in this team, ending it by saying that rather than asking about him, Isagi should instead worry about himself. Isagi is quiet for a bit, before saying that Kunigami isn't at Noah's level yet, and that he should be the one to worry about himself. And after that, it was time to go again, as the match restarted. Bachira starts with the ball, and Isagi rushes over to try and take it, but right then, Bachira starts doing some crazy fast step-overs. Isagi doesn't know what to do but says that he has to go in, but when he starts to go in, Bachira has already passed away the ball to Otoya, who was right by, and the two of them make a 1-2 with each other to get behind Isagi. Bachira has the ball, but another foe comes to try him. This time it's Grim who gets done by Bachira in a millisecond before Kunigami comes by. He tells Bachira that he's not escaping, but that turns out to be false as he bounces over him. However, after that, his luck runs out as Ness takes the ball from the sky. Bachira thinks that Ness got him right when he was finishing pressing, and says that his reactions are crazy. Ness is now free with the ball, and sees Kaiser up on the field, and tells everyone that it's time to go. Isagi sees this from the side, and as he knows that he will never get a pass himself, he's decided on another approach as he goes, and hijacks the pass away from Kaiser, which it seems worked out perfectly for him as he now has the ball. He says that he's 29 meters away from the goal. He wonders if he should dribble, or maybe do a feint, but before he can think any longer, an FC Barcelona player goes under pressure. Isagi knows that he's just going to lose the ball anyway, and decides to just try and shoot, but the player has already got to him and blocked his shot. Isagi sees the ball soar in the sky as he thinks that he managed to get the ball, but that he had no ideas from there. To begin with, That pass was perfected for the purpose of letting Kaiser score. Even if he got the ball alone without Kaiser's weapon, this isn't a range that you can score without the Kaiser impact. He thinks that within this team, and the way it's going, he will never be able to score a goal, and just then, one of his puzzle pieces breaks as he wonders about what he can do. Grim gets the ball, and Isagi tries to talk to him as he asks him to go again, but Grim doesn't even pay him any attention as he just runs away. Isagi knows that if anyone else manages to score a goal, the match will end, and because of this, he has no time as the game could end at any moment. However, he's determined to prove the worth of his existence, and he starts to wonder what he can do right now. He thinks back to Ego explaining flow state and decides that he has to try and find the path for him to prove himself. The ball is in front of FC Barcelona's goal zone, and everyone playing knows that the death match for the last goal is here. Grim takes a peek at Kaiser and sees that he's currently battling with Kunigami. Kunigami tells Kaiser that he will take the pass, but Kaiser just tells him to go ahead and try, and then Grim passes it. However, it's not to either Kaiser or Kunigami, as Grim decides to play safe and pass it to Ness instead. The ball is going closer to Ness, but just as he's about to reach it, Isagi Yoichi comes by and steals it from Ness. However, it's not an easy run from here, as Bachira is just ahead of Isagi. He says that stealing from his teammates is so alike Isagi, but he says that he won't let Isagi beat him. Even so, he says that it's impossible with this range for Isagi to fire off a shot, but Isagi just tells him to shut up. He says that he knows his limits and that he can't see his own goal right now. He makes a fake shot and runs on the outside of the goal zone, which confuses Bachira as it's even more out of his range. Isagi says that this is his only option and that he has to do this in order to devour Kaiser and for the sake of preserving the value called goal, even if it means abandoning his own goal. We see Kaiser sprinting up on the field, and Ness is happy as it looks like Isagi will make a pass toward Kaiser. Kaiser has a smirk on his face as he calls Isagi a good boy and asks him to bow to him. But then, Isagi fires off his pass and tells Kaiser to go and fuck himself and asks who said that he would pass to him. The pass is going towards Kaiser, but at the last second, it goes behind him towards Kunigami, who traps it with his left foot. Isagi reveals that his objective is Kunigami and asks the hero to prove himself and for them to destroy Kaiser and this team together, as together the two of them can fit in. An immense aura starts to appear around Kunigami as he starts getting into shooting position, and then he just fires off a godly shot with his left leg, which goes straight into the goal without even a question. But it was so much more than a goal, as because of this, they won the game with the final score being 3-2. Kunigami is shocked that he got the pass, but Isagi says that together they can take over this team. And that, ladies and gentlemen, has been the improved FC Barcelona vs Bastard Munchen match. Once again, I'm sorry for such a disappointing upload, as it's a new video, but something I have already done before but poorly. But I hope that you enjoyed this video a bit at least. If you did, please tell me your favorite moment from this game, as well as your favorite goal. My favorite goal was Bachira's goal in the beginning, as it was absolutely crazy. Anyway, if you like Blue Lock and videos like this, then I would highly suggest you subscribe to this channel, and while you are at it, leave a comment and a like, as it helps out with the algorithm a ton. And if you are curious to see another video of mine, then please watch the video that will be popping up on the screen now. Anyway, thanks for watching, and have a great day. Bye.